You all know I've been working with this book called The 5-Minute Zen Solution. This week's story. It's about a tree. And the tree grew up a little bit, and then to the side, and then up a little bit, and then to the side, and then straight up, and had become this huge tree that kids played around and people used for shade, visitors passing through the town. It was a landmark because it was so strange looking. And so, but most of the people in the town didn't pay it much mind, even though they lived there. And the town grew from when the tree was planted, from just little huts to being real houses, and as he puts it, with yards and stone fences. And one day a teacher comes to town, and she takes the kids out into the field near the tree to use the tree as shade, where she gives them lessons every day. And she's staring at this tree and starts asking everybody in town, what happened here? And finally, again, I love this guy's writing. He said, a gentleman with gnarled fingers like roots said to her that when it was a sapling, a farmer tied it up to help protect it from the wind blowing up the valley. But then as it grew, forgot all about it, and so it was limited by the rope into the shape until it couldn't be undone. And she went up to the tree, and she could see the rope marks in the tree, in the bark. And so the next day, when she had lessons with the kids, she just sat under the tree and didn't say anything to anybody. Just sat there under the tree, and the kids stared at it. One by one, they came over and sat next to her. One girl wept, though she couldn't tell you why. And as the day went on, she finally spoke, and what she said was, sometimes we grow despite being tied up and bound. Sometimes we grow because of it. And the prompt for this week was, what has you bound? What has formed your life through what has bound you, and are you still bound by it? And so that's what I've been pondering all week. And it kind of sent me down a rabbit hole. Because the more I looked at it, the patterns, because it spoke about the patterns. What patterns are you inside of? I noticed the obvious ones for myself, but then I started noticing the less obvious ones until I got to a place where everything looked like a pattern to me. Like everything we're doing is somehow inside some pattern, because as soon as we give it a reason why we're doing it, well then we've discovered a new pattern because our reason's coming from somewhere. So the more I thought about it, the more I sat with it, the more I meditated on it, what came to me was how I could see the patterns in my life that I have grown despite those patterns, and then the ones that I've grown because of. And then the more I looked at it, they were the same. I am the person I am because of all the different ways I've been bound in my life. You are the way you are because of all the different things and ways in which you've been bound in your life. That in a sense, there really is no despite of. There only is because of, because we are who we are. And if it was a hardship we needed to overcome. I was beaten as a kid a lot, bullied not only in the home but outside it. Talk about not being able to find a safe space. By the time I was 14, the only thing I wanted to do was get out on the road, hitchhike anywhere else. Sometimes I'd get out and hitchhike, and I didn't even have a destination in mind. I just wanted to get out of there. anything besides going to school, being at home, being around other people. I just wanted to get out of there. And because of that, it gave me, my adventurous spirit grew. My courage grew. It wasn't like every situation I wound up in was safe. But my courage grew because of that. My relentlessness to survive. I sometimes have a tendency to look at my rebellious nature that I had for most of my life as something that I needed to grow out of instead of something that actually set me up for who I am now. And I think we do that sometimes. We look at parts of ourselves and we go, I don't like that part. I've certainly looked at the part of me that has had anger, that has expressed anger, and I'm very grateful that I don't do that in the same way anymore. That it's not like I never get angry, but I don't express it the same, right? But there was a way in which that's all I knew back then. It was the best I could do to stand up for myself, because there was so many parts of my life that said, don't stand up for yourself, bend to our will. In school, they kept wanting me to bend to their will. At home, my parents wanted me to bend to their will. That was my experience. And so I found a way to say no. I'm going to be who I came here to be. And it was a hard way to live in this world. I think I've mentioned I've been fired over 60 times. And yet it grew me. It continued to grow me. And that's what's led me to where I am now, where I look at it's always been about who I'm being and how I show up. And that's what creates the world that I experience. And yet, there are pieces of our world that we have no say over at all. I'm pretty sure no matter how good in fact, I know with certainty that we have, I don't know if you know this, but there is a Center for Spiritual Living, or was, in the Ukraine. And with about 12 practitioners. And they were bombed. And at this point, I'm out of touch with how many have survived, where they are, what's going on with that. They're religious practitioners. They're science of mind practitioners. And the bombs did not miss them. And I got to a place, and I realized for myself this week, I woke up one morning thinking about the universe. It was the first thing that came to me. I guess it was something I'd been ruminating in my sleep, because when I woke up, I realized it's so large. There's so much going on in this universe that somehow we think that we can, like one of the beliefs that is written down in our belief system is we can control circumstances. I don't believe that. I don't gain, and so there's a way in which, if that's not true, what is true? What is true is by being a religious scientist, by being somebody, a practitioner in this movement, what you get to do is influence your environment, your world, your experience. There are people in class now who are just beginning to learn spiritual mind treatment and some of the deeper ways in which we hold our lives when we've gotten really good at this. And there may be the misconception that as you get better at this, the circumstances in your life just continually improve and everything works out. That's just not how it plays. We have, I got a couple of quotes here. I got these from an article written by a buddy of mine who's named Jim. What's Jim's last name? I'm not going to remember right now. He's a good guy. Okay. First quote is, First at home in the silence of our own thought, let us heal ourselves of fear, of doubt, of uncertainty. That's our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, said that. What he meant by uncertainty is not how most of us hold it. What he meant by uncertainty, by certainty, by healing uncertainty, so that we can feel certainty, is not that so we can feel safe, so that we can feel comforted. Those things happen. But what it's really about is finding a place in ourselves that is okay, that has a deeper sense of wellness and healing around anything that goes on, including bombs dropping from the sky. It doesn't stop the bombs dropping. It doesn't stop the diagnosis. We may influence that stuff. But what the true healing is when we find in ourselves a place of certainty that whatever it is we've got going on, we're going to be okay. Even when I was in the hospital a couple of years ago and the doctors were saying, this is your last day on earth. You probably won't even make it till the dark. My sense of okay was incredible in how I felt in myself. Now, did I influence the fact that that didn't come about? Oh yeah, I did. But that doesn't mean that I never once got attached to the result of whether I was going to live or die. Not once. And that's when I realized how powerful this teaching really is. When you get to a place of where it's okay no matter what is going on, that's where the true power is. I love this quote by Pema Chodron. To stay with shakiness, to stay with a broken heart, with a rumbling stomach, with the feeling of hopelessness, that is the path of true awakening. Sticking with that uncertainty, getting the knack of relaxing in the midst of chaos, learning not to panic, this is the spiritual path. So I'm not up here telling you that if you get really, really good at this, everything in your life is going to turn out as rainbows and unicorns. Let's be clear. There is no getting to rainbows and unicorns. I mean, you get to have moments. Like, I did with the plants last week I was telling you about. I love those moments. But I never kid myself that is something that can last always. If it can, that isn't my experience. But what is my experience is when I have moments like that, they are incredible reminders for me when tough times come, when the bombs drop, when the diagnosis shows up, when we're hungry, homeless, that I can know for myself that no matter what the circumstance, even being at a place where they're going, you're not making it the rest of today, I can be okay. In fact, I can feel the awe in it. Every week I get up here and I talk about the awe. And in looking and being with the awe, what I've noticed is the impact it has, not just on my experience, but yes, we do have impact and influence over circumstance. Do we control them? Heck no. Do we have influence? We must, because the things that show up constantly amaze me. And so, the perfect example of this happened recently to one of our own. And I got permission from her to tell you about this. Always ask. One of our ministers Catherine broke her leg. Broke it around the ankle. Broke it bad. In like at least 3 places. And the agony of that, right? She's just screaming in pain. Her husband is calling the ambulance. And what she told me yesterday was one of the first things that occurred to her is, okay, since this has happened, let me make sure I don't miss the good that comes of this. All the good things that can come of this. She was able to get there in the midst of screaming in pain. She was able to find in herself that place that knew that if she could get herself to a place of looking and being and knowing there's good in this, being certain that even in this broken leg, even in the pain she was experiencing, something good will come of this. One thing after the next that happened from that point was miraculous. Them getting a hold, getting a hold just before they wouldn't have been able to. The daughter-in-law who was a physiotherapist, who got to show up even before the ambulance. Getting to the hospital, and this because she's in an ambulance, she didn't have to wait in the emergency room. So she's already lying down, and they gave her painkillers pretty quickly. She wound up in a room where one day she had a share, but the whole rest of the time she had a room, a queen, huge room for a queen, all to herself, sitting by the window looking over at what she said was a gorgeous view. The doctor who wound up doing her surgery was the top sports doctor in the area. So she got treated by the best person around who, from what I could tell, did a magnificent job. It really looked great what they did. And then when Norm was feeling overwhelmed out of all the things that need to get done at the house to set up for Catherine coming home, he had this whole list of equipment he had to get, the bed he had to get, this, that, and the other thing. His kids stepped forward and said, "You don't have to do any of that, Dad. We'll take care of it." And so they came home to a house ready for her to not only, get in the bed, but to do the recovery part. All ready. Step by step, beautiful. And I believe that is the key to our teaching. Not it's going to stop you from getting the broken leg, but that it can support you in influencing it and all those different things showing up. I mean, that was my experience in the hospital too. I mean, this is it's not like, being this religious science minister, somehow I got out of being at death's door, but it's what happened when I was there that was miraculous. As you get deeper with this teaching, which I highly recommend, which is why I'm up here week after week saying, take the classes, it really helps. It's the beginning of getting to a different way of being in the world, right? It's not that you'll get this specific result or not. You might. And when we see certain results show up, it's great and it can reinforce, wow, this stuff really works. But it's working whether those results show up or not. If you get stuck on the results, you're missing the true power of what it is we teach here. And that true power comes to how you're shifting, how you're becoming somebody new. That's what I get out of this, how I'm shifting. Last night, as I was thinking about my talk for today, I busted out crying. God, it happens more and more all the time. And Ash is just looking at me going, my God, you are so not the same person. Your heart is so open now. And what I was crying about was just feeling the pain of all the people in Palestine, in the Ukraine, in Africa, in our country, in the U.S., all the people who are just suffering. I was just feeling so deeply for them, and it felt This is going to sound bizarre, but it felt awesome that I was feeling that I could feel that deeply and be with them in that way. It was so moving for me that I was moved. And I was grateful for feeling that deeply. I wish that for all of you, to feel what's possible in this planet Earth and all the people on it and all that's going on. You know, the connection is there if we get deep enough with who we are. It seems to me that the deeper I get with who I am, the deeper I get to feel what everybody is experiencing and going through in the suffering. And that there may not be a way out of bombs dropping, diagnosis, hunger, starvation. There might be. I don't know. I know that I'm doing my best to influence that through these teachings. But what I do know is that what we teach here can support people in moving through that and influencing their lives in ways that may give them a greater experience than the one they would have otherwise. Imagine if I was in the hospital and they told me this was it and I panicked. What a different experience I would have had. In fact, I'd probably be dead. So when we get to a place where we experience ourselves at this deeper level differently, that's where the certainty is. I have come to be able to trust myself in certainty on how I'm going to be in a situation. That's certainty. Not on what's happening out here, but what's happening in here I can now count on. And I got to tell you, that feels incredible to be able to count on what's going on in here, no matter what's going on out here. That's what's possible here. That's where the certainty is. And that's where we as a community can impact not just each other, but the world with that kind of certainty. This isn't about a perfection that is rainbows and unicorns. This is about knowing our perfection as whole, creative, spiritual beings inside these bodies that are just doing what they're doing. And we can have influence over that if we can hold ourselves in a good way. Does that make sense, what I'm saying here? Let's end with a little meditation on this. You up for that? All right. Take a deep breath and relax. And as always, imagine yourself on a path. It is the perfect path. It is your path. How it feels beneath your feet. The smells. The temperature. And it leads you to your sanctuary, which has the sounds of children in the background. The beautiful nature sounds of children. And it's your sanctuary. It's beautiful. And in the middle of it, there's a chair. It is the perfect chair. And as you sit in it, you feel the, it's so comfortable. Take another deep breath and relax even more. And now, in this safe space, take a look at the hardest things you've dealt with in your life. And notice how you were with each of them and how it led you to who you are now. Each one of those experiences led you to who you are now. Take a moment to congratulate yourself for that, for becoming who you are now through those hard times. Now look at the best experiences of your life. The ones that really make you shine and happy. They too led you to who you are now. Congratulate yourself for those experiences leading you to being who you have become now, up to this point. Now look at all the experiences in the middle. As many as you want to look at. They all formed you. Every one of them. They all formed you. And now imagine that there is a light shower showering down on you. But instead of water, it's love. Imagine yourself being showered by this love. Loving on yourself for everything you've been through, every moment of it. Loving on yourself. Take it in. And congratulate yourself for loving on yourself. All these have led to you being here in your life. They all made you who you are today. Every single one of them. When you're ready, open your eyes. Come back. You are a powerful, creative, spiritual being who is growing as a human being, not a human doing. You have shown up here because that's what you want in your life, to continue growing like that. And it is a beautiful, beautiful adventure. And I support each and every one of you who's taken it on like that. Thank you, I love you.